Welcome, everybody, back to Who's Your Band. I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined in his car by Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
I am mobile today. I'm fantastic.
Okay, well, it's good to have you here.
I could have been mobile. I could have done this mobile. I should have did that. It's always good to break the law and drive around and do these things because then I feel more like a rebel. Because the older I get, I don't do very many dangerous things. So I like to do that. I live on the edge.
Folks, that is the voice of our guest today. This guy is one of the most important singers in the last 25 years in music. He's been member of multiple bands, and it's our pleasure to welcome in Tim Ripper Owens. How are you, Tim?
Hey, it's great to be on here. And what a great show for me to be on something called Who's Your Band? Is that what it's called?
It's called Who's Your Band, yes.
Yeah, because I don't even day to day, I'm in a different band. I got like 8,000 of them. So it's almost like I invented this show.
That's true. And we're gonna talk to you about music. But the first thing I really got to ask you, I think everyone, how the hell did you get on Bar Rescue?
Well, it's funny because they just called us one day. It's a really funny thing because the show's really not real. And one day we just got a call and they said, hey, we are in Youngstown and we are wondering if, obviously they got a call because it was, a bar, venue, restaurant with my name on it. So it's a good publicity thing. And that's why they did it. There was no reason for us to be on there and we didn't call them. They made it look like, that's what's even funny. Like you actually look like in the show, like you call them and say, we need help, and really nice though. John was a great guy. He's an old musician. He sat and talked. It's like funny. The camera goes off and he's like, hey, Ripper, I used to play drums. I play drums. I used to manage the Troubadour when I was younger. And then the camera goes on. He goes, you suck. It's kind of like, they make you do things over and over again. You walk in and out of a room like 5 times until they get the shot right. I mean, it's not real. Our restaurant was pretty boring for them because we didn't let our employees drink. But listen, what they did to the place was fantastic. We eventually sold it because I tour the world 75% of the time, and my partner owns a landscaping company that's really big. And we both were like, man, we don't have the time for this anymore, but it's a fake show. There's probably some places that is a little more real. Maybe they got plenty of stuff to work with us. They just, they do it for 3 days. Yeah, they just called us, man. They just called us and said, are you interested? And we're like, yeah, what the heck? Free publicity.
Yeah.
The great thing about that show is if you're home at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, or it's like 3:00 in the morning on a Saturday, it's always on.
It's always on. And it's funny with us. I mean, they painted me in a pretty good picture.
Yeah.
And they painted my partner in not so good, which was totally off. But they also, made it. What they do is they just make the kitchen look dirty. Which, listen, we got health inspections nonstop. It was not a dirty kitchen at all. But they're like ripping wires out behind the wall, going, look at the dirt on this thing. I'm like, it's in the wall. I mean, we couldn't say that on camera. Or they're going to a frying pan. Look at how this thing is black. I'm like, well, that's because it's what it's supposed to be. It's a seasoned pan. We can't clean the seasoning off of, it's like everything gets washed right when it's done. It's just kind of fun. That was the only thing that I hated because, we never failed a health inspection or after that show, the health department came in and made us change light bulbs and everything, man. The fire department came in and made us put door handles on the other side. It was really funny because it made them look bad. But that was the only thing they made up. But yeah, it's on all the time, and it was cool. It was a good experience.
Yeah, I ran into your partner. He actually came to see me at the Funny Stop in Cuyahoga Falls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so let's start talking a little bit of music, and let's start talking about like your early career. So you were like originally in Winter's Bane, right?
Yeah.
And I thought this was kind of like an interesting thing. When you guys were looking to get signed, because Winter's Bane wasn't a signed band yet, but you were having success with your Judas Priest tribute band. So you had your original band open up for the Judas Priest tribute band, which was all the same members, correct?
Yeah, at the time, Judas Priest wasn't together. Heavy metal was really bad, man. This was 95, 94, and metal was really bad, or 93
this is
probably.
all the grunge scene.
Yeah, that, I mean, hair metal, obviously, the hair metal ballads killed it. I mean, you can only sing Every Rose Has its Thorn so many times. And, when men's, anyways, yes. I mean, grunge might have been more heavy metal, but it did. The scene was gone, man. It was gone. You had Pantera and Metallica, but so we couldn't really go out and do anything as Winter's Bane. We just signed a record deal and recorded it. And this agent in Columbus said, "Hey, you should do a Judas Priest tribute band. You can go out and make more money. You can tour as your own band, and then do that." So that's what we did. And we only did it for about a year. And actually, Winter's Bane split up probably because of that. And then I did that a little bit longer. And then, so I only did that for a year. I was actually in a Seattle tribute band when Judas Priest called me. Go figure.
But that's so crazy. I mean, like, how much of a strain was it on your voice and for the drummer who works really hard, where you're doing a full set as the opening act, going backstage, changing your clothes, and then coming out and doing a full set as a headliner band?
Well, a lot of people back then were used to getting up on stage and playing 3 or 4 sets of music a night anyways. I mean, that was kind of the thing back in the day. But, listen, there's some tough Judas Priest songs, but for a drummer, it's not as bad. I mean, unless you're doing from the Scott Travis era on. I mean, if you're doing Exciters, luckily you got to do stuff from British Steel and things like that. So you got everything Cummins and things like that. So you got some good breaks. It's not, speed metal drumming and craziness. The Winter's Bane drumming was probably a little bit tougher. But it was tough for everybody. Vocally, it was definitely tough because you had to be on your game all night. The Winter's Bane stuff was more challenging because I had written it to the top of my ability. So it was pretty challenging stuff. But luckily, I got that out of the way first. I was a lot younger, too. We were all a lot younger then. So, I couldn't do it now, but I could do it then. I mean, it was now it's hard enough to just stay awake during the set.
So you wind up getting the phone call from Judas Priest. Okay, they fly out. You didn't believe it was actually them. When you finally get there, what songs did you have to do to audition? Did you pick the songs, or did they pick the song?
They did. It was really crazy. I walked in. I fly there. I mean,
Were you by yourself?
By myself, and I didn't have. They said I probably wouldn't have to sing. So listen, I didn't sing a Judas Priest song for over a year, right? And they said, "We want to come meet you. We heard the tape. We saw the video. We just want to meet with you and stuff." Well, then I get there. So, usually if people go to audition for a band, they work at it, right? I mean, they sit at home and practice and get ready for the audition. Well, I didn't even know. So I get there, I fly to England. I drive like 2 hours or something to go to Wales at the studio, or I get picked up and they drive me there. And when I get out of the car, I hear music in the background. I'm like, holy shit, man, that's Judas Priest. And I walked in and there's Ian Hill sitting at the breakfast table in this kitchen. And I was like, oh man, this is crazy, because these guys were my favorite band in the 80s. That was all I listened to. And so I walk in the studio, KK sleeping and still, it's an early afternoon. And there's Glenn sitting down playing the guitar and Scott's jamming on the drums. And I'm like, man, this is unbelievable. They said, listen, we're going to hang out. We'll get some dinner, go to bed tonight. And tomorrow you can sing. And I was like, first I was just like, are you kidding me? And when I quit the Judas Priest band, I actually quit the tribute band because I wasn't singing very good. So, I mean, it was a year later, so I had it back, and I looked at them and I said, there's no way I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. This is absolutely crazy. So I said, how about we just do it now? I'll audition now. And that's what happened. And they went into the studio and behind the control room. I was out front with a mic. They took an old version of Victim of Changes, took Rob's vocals out. It was a live version. And then I sang to it. So they thought they were going to stump me with picking Victim of Changes, picking this supposedly hard tune. But for my advantage, it was my favorite tune that I sang in the cover bands when I came up, and I could really sing it good. So that was the one they put on. I sang the first line of the song, "Whiskey Woman, Don't You Know Drive Me Insane."
Same.
But I hit the same. when I hit that note, they said, "You got the gig, Ripper."
You didn't even have to finish the song.
Well, I actually ended up having to. He said, "Okay, finish the song," and I thought to myself, "This is going to be bad because I'm going to make the song within 15 seconds, and then I'm going to be kicked out of the band because I'm going to finish it and end up sounding like shit." So I was like, "No," but I ended the song. I went in the control room and they said, "You got the gig. You know, you're the real deal."
Were they considering any other singers?
They looked throughout the years, but they never tried anybody else out. They never mentioned it. There's never any proof. I hear different people. Now I know Ralph Sheepers was going to be was talked to by him or was hoping to be in there, but the band basically said, "Listen, we never really had anybody in the running. We never tried anybody else out." I have people email me or message on my Facebook like, "Yeah, my buddy he tried out for him." I'm like, "Yeah, there's nobody that tried out for him, but Ralph would have been a fantastic choice. He's such a good friend of mine. He's such a great singer. He's definitely more like Rob Halford than I am. So I think maybe that was also a little bit different why they got me. But yeah, I was good timing, lucky break, and they flew me over, and that was it.
Who was the first person that you called?
Well, I tell you, I told my parents. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody when I got home. I tried out in February, like February 6th, the beginning of February of 96. And I got, before I left, I had the whole band signed a piece of paper, autographed a piece of paper. And then I autographed this piece of paper. And I said, "Dreams do come true. Mom and Dad, dreams do come true." And then when I got in the car, when they picked me up at the airport, I said, "Hey, look, I got the band's autograph." And they looked at it. My mom's like, "Oh, maybe someday." And I said, "No, Mom, I'm the singer." So that was, and she's like, "Yeah." And then my dad looked at me and said, "Oh my God, you finally got a job."
That's awesome.
How is it like living in your head? Like you fly, you're by yourself. Are you nervous? Are you excited? And then when you hear the words, "Hey man, you got the gig." When you tell that story, I get chills here, feeling that, because that is a dream. That is what they make a movie about. And they did.
Yeah. It was surreal. And, I think the thing that happened is they treated me so great and we became such good friends. And it was like a family vibe. These were the guys, Glenn, KK, and Rob. When I was in high school, that was the posters on my wall. The one point, there's nobody else on my wall but Judas Priest in my bedroom, Now, remember, this was in the 80s. I don't want someone to think that I was, 28 years old with Judas Priest posters on my wall. This is when I was in high school. And so it was, I always say the strangest thing about this was I lost my idols. These guys were untouchable. They were my idols. I was amazed. And that became, so it's kind of weird that you become family and friends with them like that, so that you look at them different. But they made me feel so at home that it was a different feeling, I felt like I can't remember the exact feeling I felt going over there. I really can't remember it. I remember going on stage the first time and feeling pretty damn confident that I could nail.
You were a confident guy to begin with?
I used to be a little more confident because vocally I was untouchable at times. I felt, I could sing any style of music there is, whether it's Pantera, Sepultura, Deep Purple, whatever kind of stuff, Ronnie Dio. My voice, Soundgarden, it kind of adapts. So I always felt comfortable. It's a little harder now because I'm always worried. I'm older, so I worry that my voice could do it. But I was never overconfident enough that I was always learning. I still am. I learn off of anybody and watch everybody and try to do it. But I was pretty confident in my vocal ability. I was pretty confident that I would watch and learn and figure out how to do it and what the fans would want. So, but I don't know. I walked into that, knowing that this is going to be an impossible task. And the only thing is to sing as good as I possibly can. So that's all I could do.
how long did it take you to actually like feel like you're an equal member of the band, where you can tell Glenn or KK, hey, don't do it that way, do it this way, without feeling like you're stepping on toes, or maybe this wasn't your place?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd ever really do that as much, just because it was Judas Priest. I mean, these guys have done it for so long. I always gave them the respect of who they were. I mean, I who am I to tell them at times? But, listen, if there was really funny thing. When we first started rehearsing, we would rehearse. This is hilarious. I remember Glenn and Ken or whatever, they'd go, "Hey, Tim, is this right?" Because they haven't played songs in so long, and they knew that I probably knew them. They would be like, "Is that part right? Are we doing that right?" It was really funny. But I went with the flow on, I know I got in some, talks with them about what I should wear and stuff towards the very end. Of course, then I was fired right after that, but I would talk to them about, I don't know if I want to wear that jacket. That's not my thing. I got to be me. But they treated me so good. There was, everything felt natural. So if I really had to say something, I could say it without feeling like I was stepping on toes. But on purpose, I would sit back and just be like, I'll let these guys call the shots. I mean, they got here for a reason. I got to learn. I sat back and learned from them. Let's put it that way. I sat back, and what they did, whether I thought it was right or wrong, if they did something I thought was wrong, I would learn. I don't know if that was the right move. Turning down Ozfest, turning down, touring with Maiden, just little things at the time I thought might have been some bad moves, but I learned 99.9% of the things I learned off of them was, good and positive, and helped me out in my career.
How big of an adjustment was it for you to go from playing clubs and bars to, like Judas Priest still in the 90s was still a really big band. They were still an arena band.
Well, they kind of were. I mean, nobody was an arena band in the mid, 97 when I started touring. Metal was terrible, man. I mean, it was, bands like Testament and all the hair metal bands were pretty much gone. Rat, they weren't even playing. Bands that I love, like Death Angel, none of them they weren't playing hardly. Bands, if you weren't Metallica or Pantera, you were playing, House of Blues or big rock clubs or theaters of some sort. But Judas Priest was one of the biggest bands in the world. So even playing smaller places compared to what they played in the 80s, I mean, they still don't play the same crowds as they did in the 80s, right? I mean, Maiden does, but Priest doesn't. And
I think part of the reason for that, Tim, is because Maiden still has a lot of original members. When you look at Priest, man, I saw them when they were kind of co-headlining with Deep Purple. And I think the only original or known member of the classic lineup was Rob. It wasn't even Glenn and KK weren't there either.
Yeah, but I also think it's two different types. To me, Maiden is like kind of the Grateful Dead of music, where also they just bring people in who don't even know the songs. You know what I mean? Because of their merchandising. Some people just listen, I'm not saying not because of the music, but they also bring people in because, you'll see people wearing Iron Maiden shirts that couldn't name a song.
Because it looks cool.
And also Maiden, it's so awesome with them because here's a band that doesn't have hit songs on the radio, right? I mean, and then there's Judas Priest, who has, 4 or so hit songs that were on the radio. But they're both, Judas Priest is the pioneers of it, man. I mean, they can live forever, and it's so great to still have Priest, no matter what the lineup is. I mean, I would go see Priest right now. Richie's a fantastic player. You got Scott and Ian and Rob, and they became because of their merchandising, because of their management, became a cult-like thing. They also became a cult-like thing. It's, if you watch bands, listen, it's like when I was in Iced Earth sold triple the merchandise Judas Priest did when I toured with them. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen because they went to the old school version of what Maiden did. They made these shirts with this logo and it was great artwork and it was kind of crazy. They sold merchandise like crazy. I couldn't believe it. And, I think that's kind of the difference. And also you got to remember Priest changed with every record. They changed their style with every record. A real Judas Priest fan loves that. Some fans would only be around for a record or two, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna kind of." I love Turbo, but I don't like Painkiller or stuff like that, And
you don't like Painkiller?
No, I did. I'm saying what other people say.
Oh, I was gonna say because that's my favorite Priest song.
No, I would reverse that. What I just said if it was me. Because I'm no Turbo lover, I'll tell you that much.
I know, but you know what? Did you like Heading Out to the Highway?
I did.
Yeah, I thought that was a good song too.
I thought actually I liked all Judas Priest records, and I love Point of Entry. That was one that got a lot of flack. Because it came after British Steel. British Steel had 2 high notes on the whole record. It was just meat and potatoes record, rhythms and drums and catchy songs. Here comes, kind of ballsy, and here comes Point of Entry. That's this melodic kind of heavy metal record, which is a fantastic record.
Another question. How close was the audition scene in Rockstar to actually happening in real life?
There is similarities to that. They were behind the glass. I think I only saw the movie once, so I can't really remember parts of it. If they would have paid me, I would have watched it more. But
they never consulted you or anything on this?
No, that's what happened is originally it was going to be called Metal Gods. They took the story from a New York Times article about me, and they were going to make this movie. But then the band didn't like how they were being portrayed in the movie, which a lot of it was similar. One guy ran the band and so on and so on. But they didn't like it. And I totally agreed with that. They said, we need some kind of creativity here. We were going to have music in it and everything. We need some kind of creativity here. And Warner Brothers said, no, you can have no say at all. So the band said, well, then we're out of here. You're not using our name, our songs. And it's, so they made the movie loosely based so they didn't have to pay us. But that scene, if I remember right, I think he sang, the band was behind
he was
in the studio and the singer was out front singing. And that's pretty much how it happened. And, I'm going to have to watch it again. My daughter just said the other day, hey, Dad, her boyfriend, my boyfriend just said, Eric just said that there's a movie about you. And I'm like, how do you not know? You're 16 years old. How do you not know there's not a movie about me? And
come on, Mark Wahlberg.
I said, listen, I thought she was talking about Boogie Nights, but then she was talking about Rockstar. And it's the only time her dad's ever had abs. So I'd tell her to enjoy the moment.
Okay, so this is a question from one of our listeners, and he asks, "How did you hook up with Richard Christie, and how good of a drummer is Richard?"
Well, Richard was in Iced Earth. I mean, he was in when I.
That's right.
Richard was in Iced Earth, and we recorded the Glorious Burden, and then during the tour. First of all, we'd be on the bus and there was a golf game on the bus. Now, it couldn't have been the best golf game, but it was probably like this Tiger Woods game or something. And I would love playing it. Well, Richard would play it and let the guy hit the ball into the woods and go, he'd sit there. And then, because the guy would make this funny movement, he'd tee it off again and he hit it in the woods. And that's all he would do. It was the funniest thing ever. But then in the middle of a tour, we were getting ready to go to Japan. And Richard said, hey, I'm going to go audition for Howard Stern. They're auditioning people. And so we had to get a new drummer in the middle of the tour. I understood it. I think that the guys in the band understood it. And he suggested a drummer and Bobby Jerzambek, which is amazing. And then we became friends. He's an amazing drummer. Richard is, blast beats and that kind of, he's crazy fast and a great drummer, a great musician, a great songwriter, and a super, super great guy. I mean, he is such a nice dude. My girlfriend's a paramedic and she went to New York when the pandemic first hit, worked for 2 months as a paramedic doing 911 calls and it was the craziness. And Richard sent out catering from a barbecue place for 60 people out to where she was working at. And, you know, I have good friends. Another one, Rob Festa, who's a retired New York policeman, did the same thing. He sent pizza. But Richard is a fantastic guy and a great musician. And he wears diapers to concerts.
I was just about to say that. My favorite Richard Christie stories, like he'll go see a band and he wears a diaper so he doesn't have to miss a song. And he's like, you know, it's good for at least 3 Ps, you know?
Yeah.
So currently, man, listen, we said at the top of the show, you've been in, you know, and still in several different bands, but the one that I'm very excited about is you're in KK's Priest. And first of all, the song "Raise Your Fists" is, I mean, I'm so glad that song is recorded and it's out in 2021. That music like that is still good and exciting and it's great. That's going to be the song you guys are going to open with when you tour, right?
Maybe, but Hellfire Thunderbolt's an awful great opener, man. That first song we released. I agree with you. Songs like "Raise Your Fist" and "Brothers of the Road," the last 2 we released, are total songs for concerts, man. They're summertime songs. "Raise Your Fists," sing along, let's have some fun. And "Brothers of the Road," you know, we rocked. You know, these are songs. Those songs were written for fans and for the people at concerts. I could definitely see the opening with "Raise Your Fist." I could definitely see it. You know,
it's so good. You're so good on it. I was like so excited, like hearing it, like, and you know, just like I said, yeah, I hate a lot of like music that's out now. I'm also from the same era as you. You know, my favorite bands have always been Priest and Maiden, Sabbath, you know, Rainbow. I love these bands. Yeah. And then like you see fucking Imagine Dragons, and I just don't like it. And then when you hear like your song come out and the music that you're doing with Tremors and KK's Priest, man, it is really amazing. It's really great stuff. How did the whole KK's Priest thing come about?
Ken and he called me and said, "Listen, I'm going to be doing a show." This is in 2019 November with David Ellison. David Ellison was playing KK's venue, and he said to Ken, "Hey, you want to come up with us and do a jam?" Now, Ken's place is an old warehouse, the Steel Mill. It's big. It's a big rock venue, not club. It's giant, thousands of people. And then Ken's like, "Yeah." And then I think, you know, I'm friends with David as well. And David's like, "We should try and get Ripper." And then they had a friend that said, "Let's get him. I'll pay for him to fly here." And so we did it. We did those songs. You know, Ken said he's never played Before the Dawn on stage ever. So we play Before the Dawn, and we do Take on the World, and we do, you know, Burning Hell and One on One or Hell's Home. And, you know, I think he really got before that. He did a show with Ross the Boss at Bloodstock. So I think he had it. You know, then the offers start coming in for us to play gigs after that show. But I think Ken was waiting to see about the 50th Judas Priest tour. I think, you know, I myself as well would think that Ken would be involved with that. I know he wrote the book. They said the things, whatever. But I mean, if you're doing a 50th anniversary tour, I'm not sure why KK wouldn't be doing it. Actually, I'm not sure why I wouldn't be doing a couple songs at it. But I definitely don't understand why Ken wasn't. When Ken found out he wasn't going to do it for 100% certain, I think he's like, "All right, I got some songs. I'm putting out a record." He called me and said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I think they had to find out with me because I'm so damn busy. You know, I have the 3 Tremors. I tour the world solo. 75% of the year I'm on the world, touring the world solo. And, you know, a new Revenge I have out there. I released Spirits of Fire. So I'm pretty busy. But I said, absolutely, you know, I will move everything aside and get ready for KK's Priest.
Did you write any of the songs on the album?
I didn't. He had already had it written. But the great thing is he had written the songs for me. You know, so that there's the difference of when people write records and they don't think of who's singing them. You know, luckily when I sing on people's songs all the time. every day I'm in my studio singing music for people around the world, a song. So I love it because it's a challenge when it's not written for me, and it's always awesome. But he had written with me in mind, AJ, the guitar player, he laid some vocal tracks down, some guide vocals, which AJ is really good, man. That dude can sing. I told Ken, you got you got some young kids singing vocal parts now for me, for the old man to come in and try to do. But it was written for me. So the next record, I'll have a lot more say and do some stuff. But, this one was, he was gangbusters, working gangbusters, man. He was going, working hard on these tunes.
And is there, listen, with the uncertainty, what's going on in the world right now, is there plans for a tour?
Yeah, we're trying. It's hard when you're in a new band like this to do it. I think probably won't be till 2022. We'll probably have some kind of something like a lighting beaker that's in our butt that we show somebody that we don't have COVID or something. I don't know what we're going to have to show. We're probably going to have to, pee in cups and give blood and do whatever we have to. Obviously the vaccinations aren't working, so I don't know what the hell we're going to do. But we're going to wait till it's right. We're planning it right. I think the goal with this one is to get on a tour. We'd like to get on with major tours and do supporting. You guys would
be okay as a support act?
Well, it's got to be somebody, right? Big acts.
Like who?
Anybody that tours solo that draws a lot of people. You think of bands that do it with Maiden and Metallica and whatever. Anybody out there that would be that can make a good or a package tour basically as well.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so we have to make sure it's right. Here's the issue: we're not playing small places. That's why a package tour or supporting big acts or headlining with big acts. But when you get these super big acts, it's worth going out as a new band, and because we're not a project, we're a band, and doing it. So I, whatever it takes, but we're not going to go on small stages. KK's like, I'm at the end of my career. It has to be big shows, big production, big stuff, big tours, or we won't tour.
There's been a lot of talk about Motley not being able to maybe do the stadium tour next year. Would that be something that you guys would consider if asked?
Well, I think the management's taken all the considerations in the label. They're going to take everything. We are probably getting calls right now from people to play their bar mitzvahs to playing, It's kind of the whole gambit what we get. Hey, I really like that new song. Can you play my son's birthday party? So we're getting all this, the plan was to be touring by now already, even with COVID, I think we wanted to be on the road coming up now. But obviously it's just hard to put it together when you're trying to do bigger stuff as a new band. So, but listen, the whole thing is to do as much as possible. We're going to tour. We're going to put another record out. We're going to do everything we can.
When you started recording Sermons of the Sinner, you started that prior to the pandemic. What were some of the challenges and obstacles like to finish the record during a pandemic? Well, does that get you out of sync?
No, the challenges was KK kept changing it afterwards because he had time to live with it. Here's the thing. We finished it before. I flew home I think I flew home like March 13th. And the drummer did it. He flew home right after me. So
that was a Friday night.
Yeah. So we flew home and we did it, and then, because we were planning on touring in the summer. We had festivals lined up. We were planning to get this record out. And then KK was able, then it was not going to happen because here's the reason why it was really delayed even more for us was you're a new band. We didn't even have band photos. We couldn't even get together. It's like, it's really different with us. So he started living with the songs and we started changing a few things. And luckily in my home studio, like the song Sermons of the Sinner was originally a lot raspier. Like the verses were raspy and heavier, like ballsier. And KK was like, man, why don't you try singing it cleaner, high notes that are cleaner. Try it this way once. And so I went in and redid the verses. I redid some lines on other songs, and he would change songs around, and it let him live with the songs longer and really make them even more his. But the challenge was, everybody's like, hey, what Les Binks was supposed to do it. You guys lied to us. No, we didn't lie. He was going to do it. And then when we can't tell you anything until the record comes out, you don't start doing advertisements until the record's coming out. So Les couldn't do it at the last second. We got someone else. And then before we put the record for sale, we told people Les wasn't able to do it. And we got really hit hard with the COVID thing, because we were all ready to really get this thing going, and once it hit, there was no more talk about it, because there's nothing to say. I mean, professionals in this game realize when you're at that level, you don't do interviews all year long. Like if you guys would, now usually I do this when it's my other stuff, but somebody calls you and says, hey, can you do an interview? If you're not pushing a record, you need to wait until the record comes closer to being out, like we're doing now. So it really changed everything and what was going on, and the label's like, man, we're not putting it out now. I mean, you guys can't even get together, and you can't tour and get together, so we're not putting it out.
But at the same time, you were also working on 3 Tremors, right?
Yeah.
So during lockdowns and quarantine, you were incredibly busy working on the rewriting and redoing the KK stuff, and you were also doing Tremors as well.
Yeah, I did a 3 Tremors record. Did the vocals on that. I did a band called Pyramid. I actually have a record coming out with this band. It's a prog metal band called Pyramid, and actually recorded a whole other record for them. The release went down the road since I was off. I recorded songs for the Leviathan Project, which has about 5 songs I wrote with some guys. And then I record, like I said, for songs for people all over the world, 1 or 2 songs a week at least. But the 3 Tremors record is going to be great, and it's exciting to do a follow-up to the last one. This record's even better. Not as crazy as the first one. And it's great. Listen, it's that type of metal. People, it's over the top stuff. The artwork, the album artwork is fantastic, but it's over the top heavy metal like we got in the 80s. I mean, like this crazy artwork and these songs. People are like, man, that's crazy stuff, man. That's like 80s. And I'm like, well, that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, this isn't for certain people. This is for a genre of type of people that like this kind of music. It's, A New Revenge. When I did a New Revenge, that record is for heavy metal people, hard rock people, rock people, grandparents, kids in high school. It's kind of the ones that I could play someone. Like if somebody comes to my house and they've never heard me, I don't usually throw on a 3 Tremors song. I usually throw on a new Revenge song, or I show them that video, because it's straightforward rock,
Right. So since it's going to be geared for like a specific audience, is there going to be vinyl copies as well?
Oh, God, yeah. Sean likes to do all this stuff. Vinyl is it, man. I mean, that's what's delayed. And I'm certain that's what's delayed KK's Priest record, is the demand for the record was more than they thought. And nowadays it's hard to get people to work. And
that's right.
Vinyl is way behind. Speaking of getting people to work, I took my girlfriend's daughter and her friend. They're both special needs. They wanted to go to Sonic. This is how the world is. I took them to Sonic. They wanted to go to Sonic. It's her best friend. She's 21 now, and he moved to Florida, and he came back on vacation. I took him to Sonic, and I pull up to Sonic, and it says on the thing, now, because of staffing issues, the drive-thru is only open. This is a restaurant that's a pull up and get food. It takes 2 people. They can't even get people to work at Sonic. That's the whole point of Sonic, is it's a drive-up restaurant. You drive, you park, and they bring food to your car. This place, they can't even get workers. I just had to go on a. That just drives me.
No, dude. I feel you because first of all, there's a Sonic less than a half mile away from my house, and my wife is she's a veterinarian and owns her own practice. And one of the problems that they have is staffing, because they need people around the clock to take care for the animals. So yeah, man, it's a problem all over the place.
Well, maybe they can get maybe they can get all the animal activists bitching online all the time to come get a job there.
Yeah, if the animal activists are going to do anything, they should start with the White House after they left 60 fucking bomb sniffing dogs in Kabul airport. That's the first place they should start with.
Yeah, they'll figure out that how that rolls. They don't want to go too much into that. They'll figure out a way out of that. They'll lie about it like they always do. But listen, there's a problem with people working so they can't get the vinyls made. Vinyls are taking 3 Tremors. He's like, man, it's like 9 months to get our vinyls. I mean, it's the most amazing thing ever. Well, there's some vinyl companies that you can get it for, but it's, cheaply made vinyls that they're probably paying somebody 75 cents an hour. Probably the same person that makes LeBron James's tennis shoes is probably making vinyls as well. And it takes, 8 months to get them or something. So it's everything's behind. So we'll have vinyl on everything, man. I mean, vinyl, people love vinyl now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, also the vinyl sound now is a lot different than the vinyl we had when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And the course reflects it as well. So you're in all these, where do you find the time to handle this like intense rehearsal schedule?
Well, it's crazy. I mean, listen, if I had a little more time, I'd get a job at Sonic, but since I can't find the time, you know what? Listen, it keeps me busy. Here's the issue. If I was touring, like I usually do, then I would spot things a little more. Like I probably wouldn't have had time to do the Pyramid record or all these other 50 rec songs I did this year for other people because I'm touring, making my money. I got lucky. And that's even busier because I'm not even home. So, I just, singing in the studio helps me keep up with my voice. I need to actually rest it at some point though, because, my voice isn't the same as it used to be. And I keep saying all the time, I need to take a month off and not talk and not do anything. But then I also got to pay the electric bill and the bill. So that's how I make money, and having Rip Owens deliver your Uber Eats doesn't really look that well for me in the music career. So I have to keep singing.
Tim, listen, I could talk to you for another 40 minutes, but we got to wrap this up. So before I let you go, 2 questions.
Yes.
1, how good of a guy is Rudy Sarzo?
Oh, he's the best, man. Rudy, when I first met Rudy, he was playing, I think that time he was playing bass with Ronnie. And I was playing, it was a festival. I know it was the first time. It was a festival in Germany, Rock Hard Festival, I think. And I was playing with Beyond Fear. And our dressing room, because we were on in the middle of the day, became Dio's dressing room. So all of a sudden, the festival comes and says, "Okay, you guys are all out. You're kicked out of here. This is becoming Dio's." I'm like, "Oh shit, man, we're gonna be. What are we gonna do all day?" And Ronnie comes around the corner and says, "Hey, you guys just stay. You guys can share our dressing room. You're all right. Just share it with us." And then here comes Rudy. I'm like, "Fuck, it's Rudy Sarzo." And he's like, "Ripper, how are you?" I'm Rudy. I'm like, "Dude," and we became great friends. And he treats everybody the same. And then when I did Project Rock, which became A New Revenge, Rudy was in Project Rock, and we would tour through Russia and come and travel through Siberia on the Siberian Railroad. And we would get in the car like at 1 a.m. and be on there for like 24 hours. And they would always put me in the room with Rudy. We'd share a room because the other guys would drink at night. Rudy doesn't drink. And I'm a very light drinker. I hardly ever drink. So they would always put Rudy and I together, and we would just sit back and I would hear his stories, whether it was about his family. And I would ask stuff and, about his family and coming from Cuba and all the stuff and how great America is and, how he was able to come here and then, Ozzy stories and the guy's like, he's like your best buddy. You know what though? And that's what was. And Ronnie Dio was the same way. Ronnie Dio was the first big artist besides Judas Priest that went out of his way to have me get backstage and meet him and tell me that, Ripper, I'm like, man, I idolize you. He goes, man, you're just like me now. You're one of us. You're just like me. And that dude treated me and gave me his phone number. Here's my number. Call me in. I'm like, holy shit, man. And that's, good people, they get the energy from that. Wendy Dio her energy is unbelievable, what she does for people. And that's why Rudy's still always around. I mean, Rudy is top class, man. He is an awesome dude.
And married to the same woman for like 30 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So last thing before I let you go, you're from Akron. Who do you root for? Are you a Browns fan? I don't know if we can say Indians fan anymore. Are you a Cavaliers fan? There we go.
My first tattoo. I just love sports. I will root for the Browns. I didn't root for them the year that their running back posted a picture of somebody slicing the throat of a police officer, and then they started him as a running back. I didn't root for him then.
Oh, that was Isaiah.
Crowell.
He wound up coming to the Jets.
And you know what? I don't have nothing against the dude. They should have cut him and then let him go somewhere else and do his thing. So I actually, everybody does stupid stuff, right? So I was just like, the Browns need to cut their ties, because if it was reversed and someone did the opposite kind of a stuff, they would be, ostracized in the press. But I'm a sports fan in general. And I'm a homer. So I go for Browns and Indians and Cavs and Ohio State Buckeyes. Big college football fan.
Opening tonight against Minnesota.
Yeah. And I forgot. And I was just driving down the road, and all of a sudden they said Ohio State tonight. And I'm like, oh, dude, I love watching sports. You know what's weird? I love watching golf. How weird is that, man?
It's weird.
Nowadays,
it's like
I don't know, man. But well, I might try that next. I haven't watched that as much. That might be in the Olympics next time, so I'll do it.
Yeah,
but I love watching sports. Well, that was good. If maybe they could throw it at I'm going to get myself in trouble. So I know I've got about 5 blabbermouth headlines on this already. So,
dude, it's so nice talking to you, really, man. Thank you for taking the time out of your day and chatting with us for 45 minutes. We really, really appreciate it. And hopefully we can get you back again sometime. And when you're in New York, let us know. We'd love to see you, and we'll
Where's
promote
the other
as much
guy?
as we
Is he
can.
in a ditch or something? Where the hell did he wreck?
Yeah, maybe he drove off the side. I don't know. He
what he's
he was
like?
here
He's like,
and
fucking
Sean
Ripper's not
left.
even saying anything to me. You know what he's doing? He's in Sonic drive-through right now because he can't get service sitting there. So he has to sit.
Maybe, but I know he's a huge fan of yours as well.
Let's do this again.
Just
give me a shout. You can get a hold of me. Don's got my personal information as well, but just get a hold of me on the side. And we'll finish this. And when he's done eating his foot-long hot dog from Sonic, he can get on board too. We'll do it down the road.
Sounds good.
Hey, give me a shout and let's do this again. And we'll get in more trouble.
Sounds good. Tim, I wish Ohio State the best tonight. I wish your Browns. I think they're winning the division, and I wish you the best in your several bands and careers. And you've had an amazing career and a great story. And again, we really appreciate you taking the time out. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
Be well.
See ya.